present today. Welcome to the first round of the National Level Interschool English Language Debate for the Tan Sri Datuk Mira Abdul Rahman Ashad Channel Trophy. The motion for today's debate is, in the event where AI has reached full sentience, this House would grant them human rights. First, allow me to introduce to our panel of distinguished adjudicators for today's debate. The chief adjudicator is Muhammad Yusri bin Hazy. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. Next, we have Suhihana binti Sharhan Haran. Our third adjudicator for today is Sharifah Kaziana binti Habib Muhammad Kasim. Again, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing their names. The timekeeper for this debate is Miss Darshini from St. Michael's and also Miss Soleha. The timekeeper will ensure that the first, second, and the third speakers of each team are given 8 minutes to speak. The timekeeper will ring the bell once after the first minute and at the end of the 7th minute to signal that the time allocated for each speaker. At the end of the 8th minute, the bell will be rung twice. A maximum of 3 minutes will be given to both teams to prepare for the reply speech. The time allocated for the reply speech is 4 minutes. During the reply speech, the timekeepers will ring the bell once at the 3rd minute to signal that the speaker has 1 minute left. And we have Sabah for the opposition team, Sabah for the government team, and Perak for the opposition team. Let me introduce the debaters to you. On my right, from the government team, we have Chan Hu-Yun, Muhammad Nathaniel bin Kuman, Yuha Khadijah binti Rajili. For the opposition team representing Sabah will be Tishan Sai, Perak, Abdul Azim bin Abdul Jabbar, and Harish Raj Al-Ghanison. The reserve for the Perak team will be Laxmanan Verma and Hari Ranganathan. And for the Sabah team, we have Clarice Chong Yanting and Ivali Junin Ritter. Before we proceed, I would like to remind the speakers for both teams for some is house would grant them human rights.
Good morning to Madam Speaker, well-regarded panel of adjudicators, timekeepers, my equals, the opposition, and member of this respected hall. A very good morning, I bid you all. Now, we as the government truly believe and strongly agree with the motion presented today, which is in the event where AI has reached full sentience, this House would grant them human rights. Now let me proceed with our definition of today's motion. Number 1, which is AI, which is a short term for artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? Which is the simulation of human intelligence processed by machines. And the next one, which is full sentience. How do we define full sentience? Well, we define full sentience as the ability to gain in-depth awareness, consciousness, and capacity to experience feelings, emotions, and also perceive thoughts. And the last one, which is human rights. We define human rights as the right to be protected, the right to live, the right to freedom of speech, freedom of opinion, and freedom of expression, and the right to work and also education. Let me introduce to you our status quo of today's motion. Several scientists have actually confirmed that the status quo of today's full sentient AIs, the status quo of today's AIs are actually considered as weak AI because full sentient AI do not exist today. Therefore, we would like to give 2 examples of the weak AI today presented as weak AI by several scientists, which is, for example, Amazon Alexa or Apple Siri are both considered as weak AI. Therefore, we are aware that any technological advancement in the future are actually fully funded by government. Therefore, we believe any technological advancement in the future will also be funded by the government. And we also like to state that the AI in the status quo actually cannot understand context, and they can only recognize patterns, which is why we consider that the status quo as weak AI. Now let me present to you a few of the biggest questions of our motions today, which is number one, what is the purpose of creating sentient AIs? Why do we need sentient AIs? And the number two is, what are we trying to achieve by granting these full sentient AIs human rights? And number third, can the nation prosper by giving these sentient AIs human rights? And the fourth one is that how can it actually benefit the government by giving them human rights? Now let me introduce to you our mechanism of today's motion. Number one, full sentient AIs are actually advanced creation that can advance the society that we're in right now, which means they can bring the human race to another level. The creation of AI, we believe that it is to complement society, because that's the main purpose it even created in the first place, right? We have technology is to actually advance society, to complement society, not as a competition. Therefore, they are also programmed to have moral compass. You may ask, why do we need to program the moral compass? Because that is actually the code of conduct to ensure the society will be in peace and harmony situation, but in the same time to ensure the society to work functionally, democratically, and also effectively. That is why we program them to have moral compass. And also, we would like to clarify that we set our time in the future, because we all know that today we don't have full sentient AIs. So full sentient AIs that can understand feeling or have feelings will be set in the future. Like we said in the first place, will be fully funded by the government as well. Now, let me introduce to you our government side. Today, as the first speaker and the Prime Minister, I already stated my definition, the mechanism, the status quo, and I will also be introducing our first and second points later on. Continued by our Deputy Minister, Muhammad Nathaniel, will then continue to our third and fourth point. And then lastly, our Minister, Nura Khadija, will then rebut all the arguments given by our opposition. Now, people often think that when we say you want to grant AI or full sentient AI human rights, people will often think that it will endanger society, it will conquer society, it will overpower or overpopulate. But as the government, we believe that AIs should complement humanity, because like we said in the first place, that's the main purpose they were created in the first place. Therefore, any form of endangerment or the doomsday theory will actually, we cannot let that happen, because that will against the purpose of creating technology. We create technology to create a more functioning society, right? We don't create them to put in danger society, because why would we create things that will harm ourselves? We don't want that. And we also believe that AIs and humans should coexist together and work together to create a more functional society, not as a competition, like I said in the first place. And we also believe that if we intend to save humanity, the least thing we should be worried about is actually AI taking over society. Because like we said, we want AI and human to work in peacefully. Now, what kind of rights are we granting them? This is one of the questions that people may ask. We should clarify the human rights that we're granting them. Now, the answer to that is actually fundamental human rights. For example, basically just like our definitions, the rights to live, the rights to freedom, the rights to work, the rights to marry, and also the rights to be protected, and also the right from being protected from inhuman or degrading treatment, which is mean they get full protection by granting them human rights. And that is also one of our points, which we want to protect these AIs, because they have feelings, they have sentient, which I will be introduced later on our second point. Now, let's go to our first point. Our first point is that, why do we want AI to complement us? Why do we want AI to basically complement our society? Why do we grant them? Because we want to complement them. The reason for that is because we have to go back to the purpose of AI. Why are we even having AI in the first place? Because we want the AI to basically help us function, right? They have more precision, they have in terms of speed, in terms of intelligence, all of these can benefit humanity, right? It is why we need to complement them, because they need to complement us, which is why we give the human rights and also to protect them. Now,
Why do you want to grant them human rights? Just complement them? You can just complement
Thank you for QI. Let me rephrase. Are you saying, you're basically saying that why do we need to give them human rights when they can do it without human rights?
No.
Alright.
Actually, you want to implement AI because how they actually help mankind. So why do you want to actually grant them human rights just to complement them? Why do you just complement them without granting them human rights?
Because by granting them human rights, we can give them protection. Without protection, they can be mistreated very inhumanly. Why? Just because they're AIs. Now let me continue to our second point. Now let me continue on how they're going to how they're going to basically complement us. For example, in the medical field, they can accompany patients, just like Sophia. They can accompany in the educational purposes. They can help students. And if we implement EQ in the robots, in the AI, they can understand the student empathetically and more kindness. That is exactly what we want. That is the economic growth, that is the medical field, that is the educational purposes. It's exactly why we need to add human rights to full sentient AI, because it can benefit the government. This is how they can benefit the government, exactly. And our second point is that full sentient AIs have self-awareness, consciousness, and they're capable of emotions and positive thoughts. Now, this is why we need to grant them human rights, because they can feel, they are aware that they need to be granted human rights. They don't deserve to be treated humanly. Now, that is all for today. That's all. I rest my case as the government.
Thank you, Shantuyu.
Very good morning to everyone here today. So myself, the first speaker from Team Cooperation, strongly opposed to this motion that we wouldn't want to grant AI the human rights even if they are in full sentience. So ladies and gentlemen, let's just have a look at what sentience really is. You see, sentience is senses. And we humans have 6 senses in ourselves. The sense of taste, the sense of smell, the sense of hearing, the sense of feeling, mind thinking, and also having the range of emotion. You see, so yes, we understand that AI with full sentience would have the same thing. They can hear, they can see, they can smell, they can taste. But you have to understand that they can do all this with just senses, and if they are programmed to do so. So if you want to feel, if you want an AI to feel, they have to be programmed based on those feelings. You won't know if they really can feel what they are supposed to feel. You won't know whether they really can feel naturally as how humans feel. So the burden of proof, the burden from team government is that they have to show us the implementation of this policy, and if it's really a guaranteed policy, it's really a guaranteed process, if you grant AI human rights. You see, team government has to tell us what full sentence really is and why they should, and why AI should be granted with human rights. You see, animals and plants are also full sentience, but are they granted with human rights? Hold on please. Are they granted with human rights? No, because the question is, can they adapt to human rights? You see, they are completely different, and the only difference with them is the reaction of how they react to threats, the feelings and the range of emotions of these full sentience and humans. So I hope team government comes up with a solution and with a response for this. Okay, hold on please. You see, because there are huge fundamental difference between humans and full sentience of AI. Number one, AI doesn't have the ability to rationalize thinking and adapt to changes automatically. For example, as I stated earlier, AI has already been programmed to do what they're supposed to do. And when you ask AI a random question, they are just going to answer with what they've been programmed to, with what they are supposed to answer. They won't have a spontaneous answer how we humans answer people, right? They won't have spontaneous answers and also spontaneous response as how we humans respond. Hold on please. And secondly, the range of emotion from AI is not natural as humans themselves. You see, the difference that makes human and AI in a large scale is that humans can feel emotions naturally. Humans can feel based on the experience and based on the scenarios that they have gone through. And through that, they can adapt to changes. But the difference with AI is they can only do it what if they have been programmed to do it so. They can only adapt to changes if they have been programmed to adapt to changes. Even if it's in full sentience, you won't know whether the feelings, you won't know whether the adaptation is really natural or whether they're just faking it. So please understand that first. And before I move on to my stance here, I'll start off here.
You do realize that advancements are occurring in technological sectors. So how are you so sure that if these AIs won't be advanced until they can think just like a human?
Thank you very much. We know that they are getting advanced. We know that they are living a tax-heavy world, but do they have the? But are they the qualifier for human rights? This is the main question that you should answer. Can they adapt to human rights? And are they same as humans even if they are in full sentience? You should answer that first. You see, the stance from team operation is that AI in full sentience isn't a qualifier for human rights. And even if they are, it's highly unlikely for them to execute. And the roles of speakers from team government, myself and the first speaker will be bringing up a point where human rights are based on human experience. My second speaker will be talking about why it's unlikely to execute, and you'll be also bringing up a point that even if you do, what's the enormous cost to us humans face in today's world? And my third speaker is summarizing the whole team operations case and rebutting the whole team governance case. So going on to before going on to my point, I'd just like to bring up two rebuttals. This is number one. The first speaker, the Prime Minister, stated that they are going to be bringing a more advanced world to the human race itself. You see, we are already reaching a more advanced world. We have already been getting advanced technologies in today's world. So the question is, why do you want to give them human rights in order for you to be advanced? And what's the value of these human rights when they can't even exercise these human rights, when they can't even practice these human rights? Also, let's say we still focus on your case, but what's the guarantee that AI will actually keep working for us like how they are actually working? They rejected, sir. You see, you won't know whether they are actually going to change or whether they are actually going to prioritize their interests if you give them this advantage. And the second rebuttal for Team German is that the rights to work, the rights to marry, and the rights to protect themselves. That's what the first speaker told. They would like to give them these rights in order for them to bring the world to a more better place, in order for them to give advantage to the human race. Number one, please hold on. Are these actually the necessity for you to grant them human rights? You see, they are already working like how they used to. I mean, like how they are supposed to work. So why do you want to give them the rights if you want to let them work? And I can give you a simple example. Let's say Siri. You give them the human labor rights. If you give them the human labor rights, are you going to see Siri? Are you going to pay Siri in order for Siri to work for you? Are you going to let Siri have a resting period? Are you going to let Siri to have a to rest, and also are you going to ask permission from Siri in order for Siri to work for you if you're going to grant them these human labor rights? So please understand that. And also, he said she wanted to give these rights of these human rights in order for this AI to protect themselves. You see, even with these human rights, you can't even protect the normal, the current human race. You are also facing a lot of societal issues. And how are you actually going to use these human rights to protect AI when they are actually going to create more problems in the world later? So going on to my points, where human rights are based on human experience. So let's see the main motive of why these human rights are actually there. You see, these human rights are actually there for them to protect the individual's identity themselves, to resolve the problem, to give justice to this human race itself. So on the other side, sentient robots are all similar. You see, they are created with the same purpose. Their purpose is for them to help in humans' daily life. Their purpose is to aid humans' life. But now, based on Team Government's case, they are saying that they are just going to copy-paste this human rights and adapt it. Hold on, sir. We are going to copy-paste this human rights and we are going to adapt it to this AI, this artificial intelligence. But how sure are you this is actually going to work for artificial intelligence? They are completely different. Are you going to give them the rights to marry when they can't even reproduce babies by themselves? So what's the use of this? You see, the difference that says that we can't grant full sentience, we can't grant this full sentience AI in human rights. Number one, biologically, let's just look in the biological difference of AI and human themselves. You see, humans are natural occurring phenomena. They are born without any specific reason. They are born without any specific motive, and the life of these humans are in their own hand. The destiny of these humans are based on what they do. But on the other side, AI has been programmed on what they are supposed to do and what they are actually need to do. So they are actually an inorganic entity, and whatever they are supposed to do has all been programmed by humans. So that the life of AI is based on humans' hand, is based on what humans program them to do. So when you are going to do this, what's the use, and how are they actually going to use these human rights to sustain their life and sustain their livelihood as an AI and as an artificial intelligence? Is there any guarantee that they would prioritize our interests over their interests? They are just going to use these human rights for their own priority and for their own benefit. You see, next let's go on the lived experience of humans themselves. You see, the human rights are actually created based on how humans are evolving in centuries. Okay, let's see the Ukraine war, let's see the Syria war. All these human rights are based on the war, based on what humans have undergo or what humans have experienced. So the AI doesn't share the same part as us, and the AI doesn't have anything common with what we have gone through. And what's the use if you want to grant these human rights to AI? It doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't give any benefits for us humans or for the AI themselves, because it's no use at all. So myself from team, as the first speaker from team operation, actually brought you one point where these human rights are based on human experience, and I also told you the fundamental difference of why AI and full sentience AI and humans are completely different, and there's no use of you granting them human rights. With that, thank you very much.
Hello everyone. I will be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. we've identified that some opposition arguments against giving sentient AI human rights is one, they are not human. Two, how will this even be able to complement the human race in the long run, right? However, before that, assalamu alaikum and salutations again to everyone on this, all the members of the floor. I'm the Deputy Prime Minister, and this House fully believes that sentient artificial intelligence would be granted human rights in the case of full sentience. In my speech, I will be rebutting the arguments made by the leader of opposition, and also I will be giving 2 more points onto why we should grant these AIs human rights. Alright, so the glaring issue in this debate right now, ladies and gentlemen, that leader of opposition fails to understand that we set this debate in the future. Right? We set this debate in the future. They brought up examples such as Siri. As my Prime Minister stated, ladies and gentlemen, Siri is a weak AI. Okay? It is a weak AI that has already been proven by scientists, ladies and gentlemen. Alright then. Now next, they have also redefined our definition of sentience as that they need to have these 6 senses, right, ladies and gentlemen. Who's to say we can? Because of these technological advancements in the future, these AIs won't be able to think like humans. Who's to say that, ladies and gentlemen? As you have seen, since 1990, when the first computer has been invented, only be able to send emails. Now, you look at right now, ladies and gentlemen, the status quo, how advanced we are right now. Even scientists predict that by 2029, that we are able to have these sentient AIs, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so next, I will also be rebutting the biological aspect that they brought up. Ladies and gentlemen, who's like once I said again, we set this debate in the future. So who's to say these AIs, they will be humanoid AIs that will be designed just like us, that will also be able to reproduce babies, ladies and gentlemen. Who's to say that, right? Because we on this side of the house, ladies and gentlemen, acknowledge that technological advancements are happening in this AI sector, and those advancements are happening very quick, opposition. So please acknowledge that. Right there. Onto my arguments. We on this side of the house, ladies and gentlemen, very much believe that empathy is a very much needed aspect in this debate. Okay? To reiterate, we've established that these sentient AIs are able to perceive emotions and have gained consciousness. By that, they are no longer these machines that were merely invented to help humans in the advancement in advancing technology, right? So these AIs are now their own separate entities that now have their own thoughts and feelings. AIs were made by humanity and were advanced to the point of full sentience. Ladies and gentlemen, let me reiterate, my Prime Minister has stated that currently we have weak AI. So now we set this debate in the future. So we assume that the AIs that in the future will probably be full sentient and able to think just like humans. Okay? So it is only by right that we give them these human rights, because we would like to achieve equity, ladies and gentlemen. These AIs were very much made by us, right? And then when they become full sentient, because of our advancements, by the way, we should just it would only be right to give them human rights, right? Also, the opposition side also give the point that they do not experience the human experience. As I've said, ladies and gentlemen, advances are working inside the technological field right now. And who's to say, who's to say that the human experience can't be programmed into these AIs, right? For example, when a parent has lost their only child, ladies and gentlemen, they can have these AIs to be created, a human AI to be created, and have these memories programmed into them, ladies and gentlemen. Think about how good that would be, how much closure that would bring to the parent, ladies and gentlemen. Which brings to our third point on side of government, which is legal moralism. Now, what is legal moralism, you might wonder, ladies and gentlemen? It is the legal belief where acts are criminalized based solely on their immorality, right? For example, murder is an irreversible act of taking one's life. Therefore, it should only naturally be illegal, and there would be laws criminalizing it. Okay, criminalizing it. Sorry. So how does this correlate to our debate today? As it currently stands, if we do not give these sentient AIs human rights, right, just as my Prime Minister has stated before, they will be mistreated, they will be discriminated against. For example, for example, when they are finally implemented into the workplace, for example, to do labor work like in humanoid form, right, they will be mistreated and discriminated against solely on the fact that they were man-made. Yes.
Now, in this actually justified because that you don't dehumanize them, AI discriminated and so on. How can you guarantee to us that AI won't be getting discriminated if they are granted human rights?
So are you So are you justifying that we do not put any of these human rights for these AIs? The debater? Are you justifying that? That we shouldn't protect them at all? That is a question I would like to present to the opposition side. Okay. So these AIs will be mistreated, ladies and gentlemen. So I said it before, they will be discriminated against and mistreated on the basis of being man-made. Now, for example, because these AIs do not need any prior education, for example, to get a job, humans will start to bully them, to treat them badly based on this fact, even though these AIs were invented by us to help advance our technological sector, to help advance our nation, ladies and gentlemen. So, look at this through the eyes of an AI opposition panel. If you were created to help complement humanity's efforts in advancement, yet get bullied daily by your co-workers, how would you feel? That is something I would like the opposition side to answer. So let's take a much more extreme case, right? AIs might be used to conduct labor work without being given wages and without being given and without any regards to their well-being. Where have we seen this case before, ladies and gentlemen? Enslavement of African Americans back in 1855. Till 1706 till 1865, ladies and gentlemen. And this occurred due to the lack of human rights being given to these African Americans, right? And this, we all know that this event was one, immoral, and two, a very much dark stain on the history of humanity. And this is what side government is trying to achieve today, ladies and gentlemen. We are trying to stop these terrible histories from reoccurring once again to these sentient AIs, right? Okay, on to our fourth point, which is the law will not apply to any actions made by these sentient artificial intelligence. Consider this, ladies and gentlemen, when these AIs have become advanced, like I said, we said this in the future opposition side, when these AIs become advanced, they might even be able to create their own creative work for the entertainment of human beings, right? They might be able to write their own lines of poetry. They might be able to create their own song, yes.
Can you please justify what's the main purpose of why AI has been created and what's the similarity of AI and also African American in today's country?
Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, one, they are not regarded, their well-being is not being cared for, and two, they weren't given wages for their work, and three, they will be subject to inhuman and degrading treatment. Now, why these are similar, right, ladies and gentlemen? What like it's stated in the motion, full sentience, and as my Prime Minister stated, full sentience means the ability to have self-awareness and to have feelings. We are trying to protect this sentient AI from being discriminated against and mistreated. Now, moving on. Continuing on my speech, they will be able to write poetry and make their own songs, right? All these works should legally be under the AI and be under the AI's property. However, because these AIs are not bound by any law or any human rights, their creative works will easily be taken away by human beings, and human beings will claim it as theirs. Simply put, ladies and gentlemen, for example, plagiarism will occur without these human rights being given to this full sentient AI. So in turn, one, that is obviously a theft. That is obviously a theft of someone else's work, and two, it will become a loss to human creativity. So because of all of that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very much proud to propose, and I'm looking forward to the second debater on the opposition side. Thank you.
Thank you, Muhammad.
A warm welcome I bid to everyone present here today in today's debate. Ladies and gentlemen, today's motion is the event where AI has reached full sentence. This House to grant them human rights, and I, as the second speaker from Team Opposition, strongly disagree with today's motion. And our stand from Team Opposition is that full sentence is not a qualifier for human rights. Before going on with my arguments and saying why we should win today's debate, I have a few rebuttals for Team Government. Firstly, the Prime Minister, where she stated that they would advance in society by granting them human rights. AI should complement humanity, and we want AI to complement us, the humans. So first of all, I don't see why this research should actually convince us to grant them human rights. I don't see why this research, for example, AI should complement humanity. I can just program an AI to do it. I don't have to grant them human rights for them to complement humanity, because AI is fully programmed artificial intelligence. They are not humans like to think everything by naturally and to act naturally. And moving on about the Prime Minister didn't actually understand the difference between fully sentient and a human, because I understand that humans are sentient, but then humans have the natural instinct in them to actually analyze the problem and actually react towards it, the natural thinking. But then, but then in AI, they are actually programmed to do so. When they are, for example, when they are facing any problems, an AI can only react to what they are programmed to. but then a human, they can react to their individuality according to their own characteristics. So that's the difference between an AI and a human, and that's what they fail to understand. Moving on to the Deputy Prime Minister, where they say that they are debating in the future. Okay, I understand that you are debating in the future and you are assuming that all this technology will develop and so on. Whatever it is, even in the future, AI is still AI, human are human. AI are programmed to do it and they are not natural, something natural. Yes, I accept your AI.
So your case regarding the advancement in technology, that these AIs will be able to advance like and think and have a consciousness and think just like us humans.
Yes, they can think like us. They can think because they are fully sentient. They will have all the 6 senses like how we have. About when they are, let's say they are going through a problem. Of course, they'll have the fear feeling and so on. But then they can only react to it according to what they are programmed to. They cannot react to it like how a human do it because they are different. They are not a human. Exactly. Moving on, like my first speaker has already said that humans and AI have biological and lived differences. So an AI cannot do anything naturally and they can only be programmed. So why grant them human rights when we can when we can actually solve all the problems that Kim Jong-un stated by just programming this AI? With that, I'll go on with my first argument that why it's highly unlikely to execute this plan. So first of all, ladies and gentlemen, it's hard to educate an AI simply because they are different from us. We cannot understand an AI whether they are right or whether they are wrong because we don't understand their feelings because human and AI are totally different. So when we grant them human rights, we need someone to educate them and that's definitely humans. And when do you think these humans can educate them successfully like how they are educating a human being right now? Do you think a human can understand whether the AI is feeling insecure or whether its rights are being violated? Do you think that they can successfully educate them whether they are right or wrong? That's not going to happen in our case because AI and human are totally different by nature. Moving on about an example, when we cannot know when an AI feels abused or when an AI feels that its rights is being violated. Why? Because we are different from them. So by granting them these human rights, how are they going to actually use these human rights to overcome this situation? Because even if these human rights are not there, they can actually act to what they are programmed to, and these human rights will just be a waste for them, and it won't be used as much as how it's being used for the human being. And do you think that we can successfully educate them like how we do it to humans? No. So why must we grant AI human rights when they can't use it to the fullest and we are just going to make these human rights not valuable anymore? And secondly, if we want to make these human rights suitable for AI, like what I stated just now, the current human rights mechanisms are not suitable for AI. And if we want to make it suitable for AI, we need new mechanisms because they are different from us. So do you think that these new mechanisms will be good? That's my first question. And for my answer, I'm saying that even the current mechanisms of human rights are not good. Look at the people at Syria, look at the people in Palestine. Are their rights, are they applicable to these human rights? Even their rights are being violated. Even the current human being using the current mechanisms of the human rights, even their rights are being violated. So by creating this new mechanism, do you think this will eventually work out? It's not simple to actually create new mechanisms of human rights where you'll actually have to do it all around again. And if you do this mechanism, we have proven to you that it eventually won't work out as well. So why do you want to take the burden and do something that won't work out? So in my first point, I proved to you that AIs cannot exercise these rights anyways and these rights aren't valuable to them. Moving on to my second argument about if we do this, it will be an enormous human cost. Let me tell you why. What is the cost of exercising rights now? Do you guys know what is the cost of exercising rights right now? It's extremely expensive. For example, the criminal justice system in USA 2019 cost approximately $372 billion US, and the 2021 USA healthcare cost approximately $4.1 trillion US. So look at how expensive exercising these rights are. And like what I've stated just now, the current institution of human rights aren't applicable to this AI. So to make this AI applicable to these human rights, if you want to grant them, we have to create new institutions for them. And like I said before, these institutions carry out to exercise these rights are extremely expensive. So why must we take the burden when we know it's not going to work out as well? And let me tell you why it's important that we shouldn't incur enormous human cost in this kind of situation. The main reason is that we should maintain the cost of exercising rights right now, like for the current institution, like for the human beings right now. We should maintain the cost. Like I stated just now, 372 billion US dollars is not something less. It's not something less. And let's say if you guys want support team government and you guys grant this human rights for AI and you have to create new institutions to them, you guys grant human rights to them, we all have to build these new institutions for them. And when you build this new institution and it doesn't work out, and even if it works out, we can't maintain the current rights, institution of human rights, which were the main sole reason why human rights was founded, for human beings, and that itself will go to waste. The existence of human rights will go to waste there itself. This is why we tell you that we should not grant AI human rights just because they have reached full sentience. Thus, I've proved to you in my speech that it's highly unlikely to execute this, and even if we do it, it would be an enormous cost. With that, I would like to reaffirm team opposition's stand that full sentience is not a qualifier for human rights. I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you to Madam Chair Speaker. A very good morning. I would like to bid to the opposition, government, and members of the floor. Today we are here to debate the motion that has been given to us today, which is, in the event where AI has reached full sentience, this House would grant them human rights. And as a member of the government, I wholeheartedly believe and agree with the motion that has been given to us today. Now, our stand as the government is that this motion should be accepted, because by accepting this motion, we will empower humanity. Okay. So as the third speaker of the government, I will be addressing the flaws, the POIs given, the rebuttals, rebut the points made by the opposition, the examples, and reaffirm my stand. So first of all, I would like to address the flaws that has been glaringly obvious flaws that have been presented by the opposition. First of all, they keep forgetting that this is based in the future. We as the government have already said that this debate is set in the future. And yet they acknowledge the fact that these AIs are advanced technologically. But we have already stated, ladies and gentlemen, that the AI that we have today is weak and cannot manage to compete the AI that we are talking about today, yes?
Now, let me just follow your case. You are saying that in the future AI will be more advanced and they actually can reproduce other robots and so on. Let's just say, if in the future AI robots, if they had the ego to actually dominate mankind, is there a possibility, and what if there's a possibility that AI will actually dominate human and there's no existence of humankind at all and AI will be dominating? What if that case happens? Yes.
Thank you for your lovely POI. Or first of all, AIs that are fully sentient. Sentient, we have feelings. They have feelings. They are able to comprehend human emotions. The AIs, this situation that the third speaker of the opposition is bringing up now, they are talking about sentinels. AIs that do not have sentience, that do not have feelings, and are not capable of comprehending the complex human emotions that we have and they experience. So moving on, they keep jumping around the definition. They keep jumping around this point where they agree with their definition and then they agree with ours. Opposition, please state a clear state and definition of where you stand right now, because it seems like you do not have a concrete case. You do not have a concrete belief in what you stand for. Thirdly, they contradict themselves. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let us see the stand given by the opposition. Their stand is that full sentience is not a qualifier for human rights. And one of the POIs given was that what is the similarities between these African Americans and these AIs that will be discriminated if we do not give them human rights? Well, first of all, why did the African Americans were not entitled to these rights in the first place? It's because people did not believe they were equal as us. They did not believe that they were human, they were fully sentient. They were treated as objects, and hence why slavery happened during that time, yes?
Two things. AI was created by humans to actually help humans in the first place. But if you're going to grant them human rights to AI, that's when discrimination happens. And if you don't grant them, discrimination won't happen at all. And why would AI want to get discriminated in the first place? Please.
Thank you for your lovely POI. First of all, discrimination happens when we do not see people as equals. Right now, we do not see that these AIs are capable of feeling. At least the opposition does not see that these AIs are fully sentient, when that is the setting that has been set by the motion that has been given today. Now I'd like to move on. Oh, before that, I'd like to say that they have only been giving general examples. They have not given specific examples that help their case. Now, moving on with the rebuttals, I will start with the leader of the opposition. He had said that human rights are given based on human evolution, and that we learn through experience, and these AIs are not entitled to these human rights because they do not experience what they experience. Well, first of all, we have seen what happens when we discriminate others, when we do not give them the rights that they deserve as humans. We have wars, we've had countless of riots and rebellions. This is because we did not give them rights. This is because we did not treat them equally as humans. Now, ladies and gentlemen, they keep wondering, they keep saying that even though these people already have rights, they're still being violated. Well, imagine if they didn't have rights in the first place. The situation would be worse. Now, we as the government have a mechanism to aid this. Even if we are not able to fully solve the situation, we are able to decrease the severity of this happens. But ladies and gentlemen, it seems that opposition has no sentience at all, has no empathy towards these people, because they do not have these biological characteristics that we have as people. They do not acknowledge the fact at all that they are able to feel, to experience human emotion, which is, I feel like, is and should be a qualifier for human rights. Next, I will talk about how he said that there would be no benefit for us humans. Now, ladies and gentlemen, one of the rights that my first speaker, has said that right to being protected, right? So let's say these AIs, they work in tandem with us, they complement us. That is their main reason for them to be created. Let's say that they do not have rights. They are not maintained constantly and consistently. And let's say while they are working with these humans, an accident occurs only because that people do not seem to care about the fact that these AIs need to be maintained, need to be protected, and need to be always have the right to be protected because they are sentient. Now, opposition fully ignores this fact. They do not care about AIs, and hence they do not care about the human race. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what happens to an opposition that doesn't listen? They do not listen to the people, they do not listen to what they need, and therefore they ignore what the effects that will happen if we reject this motion. But we, the government, acknowledge the flaws. We acknowledge the cons and the pros, the advantages and disadvantages, and we are addressing all of that in our mechanism and how we can prevent this from getting worse and severe as it already is. Now, these AIs are fully sentient. They can comprehend feelings. If the opposition has not already understand that, that is what we are here to debate, whether or not these AIs that feel these complex emotions should have human rights. Now, the second opposition speaker said it is highly unlikely to implement, and we cannot adjudicate AIs. Well, who's to say that we can adjudicate humans in the first place? So this law only helps for us to decrease the rate of mistakes happening when in these adjudications. If we implement rights, we implement boundaries. We set the guidelines. If there are no guidelines, more chaos would ensue, and that is the world that opposition is fighting for. Now, before I end my case, I would like to reaffirm my stand by saying that this motion should be accepted, because by accepting this motion, we will empower humanity. With that, I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Burak and Josh.
A very good morning to everyone here today. I, as last speaker from the opposition side, strongly disagree with today's motion. What is this motion, by the way? Let me give you. In the event where AI has reached full sentience, this house would grant them human rights. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me reaffirm team opposition stand that full sentience is not a qualifier for human rights. I repeat, full sentience is not a qualifier for human rights. And ladies and gentlemen, from what government has brought to us in today's debate, they never justify to us why full sentience is actually a qualifier for human rights. And only thing they've been talking about the same fact that because they're full sentience, therefore they should be granted human rights. Or if not, they won't be protected, they'll be discriminated, and that's one thing we are trying to, we do not have humanity in our side. Ladies and gentlemen, What I can understand of in government is that they think humans right by granting human rights to robot, it's like buying a lollipop from a small girl. That's what they're thinking. Human rights, there's a lot of rights being listed out. A right meaning a person have freedom to voice out, a person to do something what they feel they want to do, and those are the things that can actually applicable for humans. Robots, how is it going to be applicable? How is it actually justified to them? How is it actually beneficial for AI in the first place? How are they going to use it when they have these human rights? They never justify to us. We are talking about practical and common sense, not about whether we have humanity or empathy. So first of all, let me just move on to what has opposition got in today's debate. And I'm going to debate every case what is government has brought to us in today's debate. So before that, let me finish my statement and then I'll answer to you. Okay, thank you. So first of all, the first speaker, alright, they kept on saying about how they actually in the future that AI will be more advanced and therefore they get to actually reproduce robots and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, even a scientist can't explain how this can actually happen, and government can just say this in a very simple way, this can happen in the future. In the future, what we're trying to prove to you is that AI has reached full sentience, which means having the senses of feelings and so on. These are the only issues that AI can feel. But there is no justification that AI could rationalize their feeling to know what to do or to know what to react towards the situation. If they're being harmed, hold on. If they're being harmed, if another person is going to come and hit the robot or hit the AI, will the AI know how to fight? Do they have this fight and flight situation in this place? No. As humans, we have the right to actually do self-defense ourselves. But AI, unless they're being programmed, then only they can actually do the situation. But if they're going to have the right, and if they're not going to do anything, then why want to give these rights to the AI when it's going to be useless in the future itself? So there's no point of giving human rights in the first place when there's no reason to actually use it in the first place. So for what is the first speaker brought to us in today's debate, her point is basically very simple. It's just that AI will be protected. I don't understand how. Whether you give human rights or you don't give human rights at all, the situation is still the same. How granting human rights, then only they will be protected. There's no justification from your side. Why do I say so? Like how my both speakers have proved here in today's debate. Even in today's world, humans who have the human rights, they are still not being protected even when they are granted with the rights itself. Like how it just proved to you, countries like Syria, Ukraine, just because Ukraine joined in NATO, Russia wanted to declare World War III. Where is the right for them? How is this going on? Meaning, even for humans, the rights are not being preserved even well. How in your world that when granting AI, the situation is much more even better? I don't get it how. And why AI want to be discriminated in the first place? There is no justification in your side. AI was created by a human to actually help human in the first place, to make life easier and so on. Hold on. And AI is only being protected by humans. We are all using AI right now. In the future, if AI we are using right now, we are going to protect it. So why human rights has to be there to be protected in the first place? I don't get it how. Meaning, in government side, there is no practical and logical thinking in this case, and all they say just because they have the feelings to feel pain and so on, therefore they should be granted human right, which is so irrelevant in today's debate. So before I move on, yes, I accept thank you.
So you stated earlier that you do acknowledge that by not giving them rights anyway, the situation will remain the same. That means that you are acknowledging that there are bad effects to this, and yet you choose not to choose the side where giving rights where they can abide by the law, which will make the situation better. You're acknowledging this, yes?
Yes, although I acknowledge, we have to understand that even if the problem is still there, they are still going to be protected by humans. Not just that if you give human rights, then the situation can be better. There is no justification on your side to prove to us that AI, when they be granted human rights, the situation become more better. Where is justification on your side? You never even prove to us in that way. Because all the things you're just coming around about how they can be protected, how they can actually be less discriminated, and so on. And the only thing you all only be focusing in the future and so on in this kind of scene. But we are trying to tell you what is the big event will happen in today's society. Now, in my second speaker proved to you that giving human rights have to build more institutions and so on. This costs more. The thing is, in our world, what we believe, that if you're going to actually grant them human rights, the burden is on humans, on us, not on the AI. The AI is not going to get anything. You're not even going to know whether they're being appreciated or not, because they're being programmed like that. Unless they're programmed and so on, this kind of issues can happen. But why do you want to waste your time over this just because you want to become a human rights? Before that, let me just move on to my next point. And then the next thing, about the same things about how they actually, because they have feelings, yeah, that's the thing. The third speaker just said, the first speaker just said that because they have feelings, they should be granted human rights. I don't understand how. See, three things they should be answered from team government. With the problem faced by the society, we wonder if AI are granted this AI and this human right first of all. Second, are the problem faced by AI and humans are same, which should be granted human rights. And even if they have the same problem, how is it justified to actually give human rights in the first place? You never prove to us in any point, and you never give it any examples how you actually in your word is much better. In all your points, all the speakers never justify, never give an example, but only gave assumptions that they will be discriminated, they will be not protected, and we actually do not have humanity and so on. What we're trying to prove here in today's video, let's not look at what AI is going to go through and so on. In today's world, because right now, even people in humanity, with human rights, things are going haywire. Things are not getting what we wanted at all. Meaning, we can't even solve our own problem. Why you want to go to AI already? Hold on. Why do you want to go to AI already? Which means what we're trying to prove to you, you don't need to actually grant them human rights at all. And they're actually telling that how AI and human can coexist, therefore they should be granted human rights. Even a dog and a man can actually coexist together. And dog is not being granted human rights. Instead they're being granted animal rights. So what is that? Meaning, there's no justification in your side that AI and human, just because they coexist, they should be granted as human rights. I reject so. So I'm telling you, so in this case, they never prove to us how is it better in their world if AI is being granted human rights, how is it so good in their world, ladies and gentlemen. But one thing we can tell you, there is no benefit gain to anyone at all. If AI is going to get human rights, what are they going to do in the first place, ladies and gentlemen? How are they going to use this human right in the first place? Can they actually use the right to go and voice out, to go do freedom of speech, or to go do a protest? When they came up with the example about how the black African people, those human rights happen when these black people, they actually fight for their right. Because they're being slavery, the way they treated the land, they went and fight, using their mind and their feet and their mind and thinking to rationalize their feeling, and that's why when they go and fight, they got the rights. But how robots are going to actually rationalize their thinking? Are they going to think that they're being slavery and therefore they have to go and fight and so on? Will that actually happen? That's very most unlikely to happen, ladies and gentlemen. And even if that's the best case in your side, if they are still going to go and fight, we tell you that there might be a situation that AI will kind of dominate humankind and will make mankind not exist at all. So therefore, let me read from our team stand that we actually designed today's motion, meaning full sentence is not a qualifier for human rights. That is the case.
Ladies and gentlemen, Team Government's whole case is just about assumptions. They didn't even give an example. They didn't even give how they will guarantee the success if they implement this policy. Nothing from Team Government. Team Government don't actually have a motive or a main purpose of why they actually want to grant human rights to the full sentence of AI itself. They didn't state anything or any examples of that. Only reason brought up by Team Government is number one, they will create a more functional society. Number two, bring a more advanced world to the human race. Number three, giving them rights to protect themselves from getting bullied, as the second speaker told repeatedly in his own speech. But the question from Team Government from opposition. Number one, how is that going to be a more functional society? There's no explanation examples brought up by that. Number two, more advanced world to the human race, they say. How granting AI human rights will actually help the human race actually? There's no examples or there's no explanation brought up by them. And even with human rights, humans are actually undergoing and having an haywire world by themselves now in the status quo. So how are you actually going to grant human rights to AI and help the human race? That doesn't make sense at all. And number three, why AI actually need human rights to protect the AI race? It doesn't make sense. You see, Team Government hasn't tell us why specifically human right is what they want, and how is it actually more relatable to the human right, to AI by having this human rights. No explanation brought up by them also. The second speaker brought up an example where the African Americans talking about the sympathy of parents losing a child, which is absolutely irrelevant in today's motion and absolutely irrelevant in their case today. And okay, let's say we follow their case. Let's say we follow their main example where the three speakers brought up African Americans. You see, even Team Government is actually screwing themselves. African Americans and the whites, both are those humans, both are those equal. You want to bring an equal people, you want to bring both humans and compare to AI and also whites. You want to compare to AI and humans. You see, African Americans isn't born in this world to help the human race. African American isn't born in today's world to help the whites. So why are you bringing this and comparing this to AI? AI is brought up in today's world to help human race. AI is brought up in today's world to help the daily life of humans. You are giving a fake example, you are giving an irrelevant example to support your whole case. Please note that down. And also, we from team operation actually brought up few points. Number one, how the human rights are based on human experience. Number two, why is it highly unlikely to execute? Number three, what's the aftermath or the enormous effect to the human race if you grant AI human rights? You see, we brought up basic examples. We brought up logical reasoning to support our case, to support our example, to show that our stance still stand in today's debate, in today's motion. Team government stand was actually granting AI human rights in order to protect the human race. But their whole points were actually protecting AI's race itself. Their points isn't even relevant to their stand in today's debate. So it actually shows how they completely failed to prove why granting AI human rights actually bring the human race a better effect. Why actually brings the aftermath a more better effect. You see, ladies and gentlemen, let's just take a bird's-eye view and follow their case. They are saying that they are saying that AI is actually going to be discriminated, AI is actually going to be bullied, so they want to protect the AI. They want to protect the AI race. The main question is, why is actually AI going to get discriminated? Even team government agreed that AI is created to help the human race. Even team government agreed that AI is actually there to help the daily life of humans. So why do you think that they would be discriminated? And why do you think this is actually the main problem in today's debate? They are going to be discriminated or they are going to get bullied. Actually, it doesn't really make sense at all because they are here to help us humans. So you're going to grant them human rights which they don't even know how to adapt to, and how are they actually going to bring a change to the human race? How are they actually going to help the AI race itself? And also, how are you going to protect the AI in full sentience when these humans itself are undergoing societal issue with their own human rights? And how is this actually going to help the AI to actually protect themselves? So please understand, please answer that in your next speech. Ladies and gentlemen, team operation has shown and proved to you how there's no necessity to grant AI human rights even though they are in full sentience, and the problems we will undergo and face if we grant them human rights. With that, I've been here to propose today's motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishan sir.
In this reply speech, I am going to do this number one, deal with the mechanism brought by the opposition side. I would like to clarify and also state that they fail to understand what consciousness means. What do you mean by humans are like natural? Well, I agree, they are artificial intelligence, right? But that doesn't mean that they're not sentient. We as humans, we program them to be sentient. And you're saying that we're not giving our own creations the rights? And also, you guys forget to realize that not just we only give them rights to protect themselves, but also to protect these AIs from harming humans. You guys forget to basically acknowledge that, right? Don't you guys think so? Are you guys not thinking about the problem that is actually exists in society? You guys know exactly the problem in human rights. There are human rights, but we give human rights first, then we get human rights, right? You're saying that there are human rights, but what happened? There's human rights, but there's still chaos going on. Exactly, you acknowledge the issue that even though we're human rights, there are still problems, but you're not doing anything with it. You're not providing any solution how to solve this problem. Well, our system that we're providing and we're agreeing with, we're basically can prevent this thing from happening. And we already said that fully sentient is actually, they are programmed to be fully sentient. You forgot the meaning of fully sentient. What is fully sentient means to you? What does it mean? Sixth sense. You're saying that fully sentient don't have sixth sense? Is that what you're saying? It's just false. We already said that we program the sentient AI. We program those AI to become sentient. When we program the AI to be sentient, humans are not the only one that's capable of rationality. Humans are not the only one that's capable of following their own spontaneous and have free will. Because it's the advanced world. We already clarified in our first argument that the AIs we have in the future will not be the AIs that we have right now. They will be more advanced. They will work as a human. They are humanoid, like Sophia, that will actually help people, like we already stated. You guys also failed to answer our biggest question. Is that, can your nation prosper with the thing that you guys provide to us? And also, what are you trying to achieve exactly by not granting them human rights? You know that, the second speaker actually said that they can immediately program a robot here. So what, you don't want to grant them with the human rights? You don't think they deserve to be protected? And you guys keep bringing up about the African Americans and also the sentient AIs. What do they have in common? Well, here's the thing. They are both discriminated because of their personal identity. The sentient AIs are discriminated because of their biological aspect. It's like you guys are basically doing that, right? You guys think they don't deserve human rights because they're not the same as human. But in fact, they both are sentient. Black people are also sentient. They are discriminated because why? Because of their skin color, because people don't view them as human. Exactly the same to the sentient AIs. This is why I would like to reaffirm our team stand, which is the reason why we believe and why full sentient AIs deserve to be given human rights. because we can empower AI that will in return benefit society, and it can protect society, it can make society way more efficiently. Now, I would also like to say that we actually answered all our biggest questions that I stated in my first argument, that our nation can be prospered with a program moral compass, which is the code of conduct that can ensure the society in a safe and peace and harmonious society. And we also answered our question that the nation will prosper. We answered how the government will benefit from the field of medical, from the field of education, from the field of economic growth. We also stated that in our first and second point. And you guys kept also saying that, why are they sentient? Why are not we giving plank right? They're sentient too, right? Well, they're not. Why? Because planks don't have feelings. And as a matter of fact, we don't even have proof that the leaf are not sentient. So it's not a valid argument stated by the leader of opposition. Now, once again, I would like to reinstate our stand, which is we want to import AI. In return, they will benefit and complement society. Because that's the main purpose they were even created in the first place, right? That is all from the government team. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chancellor.